Wait. Hey, have you ever dreamed of owning a horse? Are you an American citizen? Did you know that you already do? In fact, you own thousands of horses. Yep. And you own the land that they live on too. Yep. In fact, a law was set into place in 1971 called the Wild Horse Roaming Free and Burrow Act. Yep. Protected the wild horses and the land that they live on. In fact, if you wanted, you can actually go and see these wild horses out in the wild in 9 states. Yep. And you can see them in places like Wyoming, Oregon, Nevada, Colorado. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But I want you to know that that time is also coming to an end for you to be able to go visit these wild horses. Yep, it's coming to a close. Yep, in fact, the Bureau of Land Management, short BLM for short, they're in charge of the care of these animals, and they've decided that there's just too many of them. Yeah. In fact, right now there's 2,600 that are roaming free in Wyoming, specifically in the Northlander area. Well, in that area, which is flourishing and doing amazing, by the way, they decided that they wanted to cut it down to only 260. Yeah, they only want 260 horses roaming that land. And on top of that, when they weed out the herd, they take the land as well. Yep, and that's your land. Yep, and your horses. Well, if you're really interested in learning more about this, I'm actually going to explain. So please stay and watch this video in its entirety, because I think you're going to want to know this. The hard part is that when the Bureau of Land Management takes these horses away, they do something that's called a roundup, and they use helicopters, and the helicopters like chase the animals, and they do it in the hot heat, like in the heat of the sun. I'm actually going to share a video with you here.
A wild Mustang charging across an open plain, a symbol of the untamed majesty of nature. But the predator chasing these horses is anything but natural.
You can see the terror and the fear.
This is a helicopter roundup commissioned by the U.S. Bureau of Land Management, or BLM.
Sometimes these horses get stampeded for miles and miles. We feel that the American public has a right to know what's happening out here in the Wild West.
It's a controversial practice where horses are herded off public lands and sometimes permanently put into holding facilities in an effort to control their population. But now, the government is considering allowing the slaughter of these animals, first time in nearly 50 years, putting the lives of thousands of horses at stake.
The Bureau of Land Management has been sadly been overrun by greed and corruption, especially in the wild horse management sector. It's just riddled with greed, and it has a lot to do with the cattle grazing. And it's not like cattle grazing on like their own land. It's cattle grazing like on your land. And when a cattle grazes on land, that land a lot of times is unusable for like 100 years. Yeah, like it destroys the land. So it's a real big problem. And unfortunately, the wild horses are being basically taken and corralled and put in some horrible situations. In fact, I'm going to share some video footage with you, so please stay and watch. I want you to listen to what's actually going on.
Outcompete native wildlife and degrade the rangelands. But the American Wild Horse Campaign's executive director argues the government's so-called appropriate management levels.
They're killing Mustangs out in the wild. Why are they doing that? Why are they killing Mustangs in the wild? The Bureau of Land Management has created its own crisis, and is using this crisis to manipulate both the public opinion and the congressional vote.
The Bureau of Land Management was saying that these horses didn't have water. It was a big problem. Well, we went out to the area where the capture was going to take place, and the stream that went through the northern desert in Nevada was covered with fences, not only by ranchers, but by the government as well, to keep wild horses from being able to drink. And they put this out to the public as the reason for capturing them.
The hard part about this is that when they take the horses away, so the roundup that's coming up on June 1st, no, not June, July 1st, when they take away, over 2,000 horses, they end up in pens and they get separated from their families because they're herd animals. They never get to see their families again.
The gather is done by helicopter and it is a highly controversial process. And so far, 5 horses have died. The Bureau does say it will treat approximately 30 female horses with a contraceptive drug and then release them with an equal number of male horses.
Times the horses get maimed and they die, they break bones. The little babies, the little fowls, they end up dying. It's really horrific. It's inhumane the way that they do it. I believe that more Americans should know about this. I don't think enough Americans know. And I think that if you did know that they were your horses and they're your land and that they're being mismanaged like this, that you would want to do something. So I made a script for you to call DC and leave a voice message and let them know how you feel about it. Like, what these horses really need now from us is they need voices, because right now they're voiceless. They need us to speak up for them. They need more Americans knowing about this issue, caring about this issue, and saying something about this issue. I know for me, I wrote to my local congressman, Adam Schiff, right here, and he actually got back to me a few days later through this letter, and I let him know how I felt about it. I made a phone call also to DC, telling them about how I feel about it, and I'm hoping that you'll do the same. We need all Americans, all ages, coming out and speaking up against. Imagine if DC had thousands of calls and emails on this issue. I mean, that's where real change comes into play, is when it is in the numbers. What's going on is greed and corruption, and it's corruption not just in the cattle industry, but in the mining industry, the meat industry, meaning they sell these animals for meat.
The Bureau of Land Management says that it's a myth that wild horses are being sent to slaughter, and that they do not and have not sent wild horses and burros to slaughter. But a simple look beyond the BLM website brings to surface FOIA documents, grand jury investigations, GAO, and congressional reports that reveal just the opposite. A 1997 peer report indicates that the BLM obstructed legal evidence of their trafficking horses for the purpose of slaughter. A prior grand jury investigation of the BLM revealed evidence of black booking, otherwise known as phony double branding, where horses disappear without a paper trail. Adoption proxies that enable large groups of horses to go to slaughter undetected.
Like for food, and you got to understand, like, these animals, they're not treated well. Like, it's not like, oh, business as usual. I mean, this is like horrific circumstances that they're put under, you guys. And there's many documentaries about it. You can actually watch the documentaries. I'll put a list in the comments. In fact, I partnered with a foundation called the Wild for Life Foundation, and they put out a documentary about this, and there's many like well-known celebrities that are partnered with Wild for Life, including Willie Nelson, Paul Saravino, I think I'm saying it right, and Chief Arvo Looking Horse, and Peter Max, the artist Peter Max. So there's a lot of us that really care about this issue, and we're really asking you to care about it and to say something and to speak up for these horses. There's a photographer out in Wyoming. His name's Jim Brown. He photographs the horses out there. The sad part is that he actually is almost like a documentarian. Like, he can see, like, one day the horses are out wild and free, and then the next day they're completely gone, never to be seen again. And it's not like they're going to happy places. I mean, this is all for greed and for profit and for the land. I mean, it is literally like a ravaged, it is like a money-making show, all under taxpayers' money. Like, do you realize that leaving the horses alone costs the taxpayer $0? No money, zero. And the horses actually do a really good job keeping that land thriving. They don't overeat. They actually work really, really well within the ecosystems there, you guys. It's not like with cattle or goats or sheep or any of that stuff, like, because those type of animals just ravage and take everything. In fact, when a cow takes a bite, it just, he grabs a whole thing and it takes the soil with it, not just the little bits of grass like what horses do. And it's really kind of horrible what's going on. And I just wanted to bring that to your awareness. I actually wrote a song to bring more awareness for this issue. It's called Wild Horse. And I'm hoping that you'll share it, because the more that song gets shared, the more awareness towards the wild horse issue in America gets put out. And so I'm really hoping that you'll join me and you'll join Willie Nelson and a bunch of others in the advocacy for protecting these majestic creatures whom we all love. And they are your horses. They belong to you. And the land belongs to you too. So you have a voice, and you have the right to say what you want and what you don't want to be done with these creatures. You know, and there are laws in place, but for some reason they're just not being honored, you know, these laws. And so we need more people saying, hey, honor the law, honor the law. We need more people on the phone saying, hey, you know, do this. And my goal is to help stop the roundup in July on the Wyoming Northlander area. That's my hope, is that enough people will call in and email, will call DC and will email their local congressman about this issue and do something about it. I'm hoping that roundup stops. Well, the roundups in general stop before there's further investigation, and that the roundup specifically on July 1st is stopped as well. You guys, if you really are interested in this issue, I would love, I'd love to make you more videos so you can see what's going on. If you really care about this issue, please make the phone call and send an email out and share my song, because that song brings more awareness. I'm hoping that if the song does somehow go viral, which would be amazing, that I would be able to use the royalties from that to be able to put it out on a national radio campaign here in the US. And I actually know how to do that, believe it or not, but I need funds in order to do that. It costs money to do that. And the reason why I want to do that is because I want to bring more awareness to this issue. Because every time someone Shazams the song, it goes to their phone and they get to see that it's me, and then they can go down that little rabbit hole of like, ooh, Wild Horse, who's Michele Vreeland, and then tied to that song is this issue, and then people will hopefully, as they discover me and discover the music, they'll discover this issue and take action. That's my goal. And then also it allows me to visit the different radio stations and to go on a little radio tour and maybe perform live and bring more awareness through the song for the horses. But I need your help to do that. The horses need your help. I'm literally dedicating that song for them, and I'm just hoping that you guys will join me and help save our nation's wild horses and the land that they live off of. If you guys care about your generations having land, I mean wild land, and to see these horses, I'm telling you, you're not going to be able to see these horses for long, because at the rate that the BLM is rounding up and taking these horses away, never to return to that land again, at the rate they're doing it and the amount that they're taking and doing, we won't have a wild horse population. Like your younger kids will not be able to grow up and go to these beautiful places and see these horses. It's pretty devastating what's going on. So I'm hoping you guys will take action, and I really am grateful to you, and thank you so much.